Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, everyone. If I could ask you to please take a seat, we're going to get today's program started for each and every one of you. Finding the seat will be a little easier than finding a parking space, so everybody grab your spot. Thank you all very much. All right, so good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you all for being here. My name is Dr. John Berry, and I have the pleasure of serving as the board chairman of the Licking County Chamber of Commerce this year. It's my sincere honor to welcome each and every one of you to the 66th annual Groundhog Breakfast. And it's been a little while since we've been able to gather. I think the last time we were able to bring ourselves together in this large of an arena and group were 2 years ago, and it was quite a snowy, weathery day, if you remember that. So this is a little bit nicer in terms of the weather, and certainly a very nice facility, and I'm glad each and every one of you found this location. Now, be honest with me, how many of you actually went to the Newark campus? All right, there was a few, and I appreciate that, and we knew that was probably going to happen, but I appreciate that you were able to come and find us here, and we thank very, very much this wonderful location for hosting us. The Cherry Valley Hotel has been a great addition to our Groundhog Breakfast family, and we appreciate them. For those of you who might be tweeting this morning, please use the hashtag on the screen, which is, as you see, hashtag LCGH2022. And as my mom says, hash brown, whatever that is. So remember, hashtag, and to brag to all of your followers that you're up before the sun today. So we appreciate that. And please provide feedback to the Chamber about this morning's event. We always want to continually improve what we do, but we're very excited to be in this new venue with each and every one of you. It's great to be able to gather together once again. I also would be remiss not to thank my own team from Central Ohio Technical College, who is here to support. My day job is working with each and every one of them, and it's a great honor, so thank you all very much. We have several elected officials in the audience with us, so if you would, please stand and be recognized at this time. Our elected officials, excellent. Thank you all very, very much. It is our honor to work with our honor guard this year, the Licking County Sheriff's Flag Corps, who will now present the colors. I would be pleased to be joined on stage by Shauna Corder's shining star, 8-year-old Leighton Augenstein, who will perform our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight. O'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombers stinging air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Awesome, sweet Pete. Thank you so much, Leighton. Ladies and gentlemen, if you could please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all. You may be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, if you could once again help me thank the Licking County Sheriff's Flag Corps and Miss Leighton Augenstein. It is now my privilege to introduce Pastor Rusty Foley from Water's Edge Assembly of God for this morning's invocation.
Good morning and welcome to our neighborhood. Why don't you join me today as we go to the Lord in prayer. Our Father, we thank you. We thank you, Lord, for this community that you've given us, and thank you for all of our community leaders. Lord, those of the county, city, village, township. And Lord, thank you for the chamber and the economic organizations that have worked together to bring such a great opportunity to our homes and businesses. Lord, I pray that you will help us as we move forward. Lord, seeing the growth in our county, increasing new business opportunities that are coming, Lord, we just thank you. We want to ask you that you would help us. Lord, for those that need to fill positions in their organizations and their businesses, Father, I pray not only that you would send them people, but send them the right people. Lord, I pray that you will help us with all the decisions that are to be made, and I pray that you'll forgive us for any mistakes that we've made. Lord, with that said, we thank you for your mercy and your love. Lord, for all the miracles that we're seeing in your church. Now, Father, I pray that you would be gracious to us and bless us and cause your face to shine upon our community. in such a way that everyone around us recognizes you're with us, and they want you to be with them also. Lord, it's my prayer that all people everywhere would praise you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you, Pastor, for those very thoughtful words. We appreciate you. Ladies and gentlemen, all of our chamber events are team efforts. That is especially true for the Groundhog Breakfast, which, as you can see, with an audience the size that we are in this very new location, has a lot of moving parts. So I'd like to take a moment to recognize the people who make this event happen. First, Todd Salome, Larry Wise, and the team from Heritage Catering for getting up even earlier than every one of you in order to prepare this wonderful breakfast. So thank you very much. Mr. Rick Platt and the Heath Newark Licking County Port Authority for assisting us with this morning's keynote speaker arrangements. We appreciate you greatly. Jesse Harmon of Audiovisual Connections Incorporated for the lighting up the stage and delivering all of our production needs. We appreciate you as well, my friend. Normally we would thank the Ohio State University of Newark and COTC for hosting, but they're not. So today we actually thank the team at the Cherry Valley Hotel for the use of this wonderful event center and allowing us to celebrate together. Thank you very much. And of course, we can't say thank you enough to our major sponsor, the Licking County Foundation, who you will hear from in a moment. It is now my privilege and pleasure, because I get to work with a wonderful, dedicated group of business people who generously share their time, talent, and expertise to lead our organization within the Chamber of Commerce here in Licking County. I would like to recognize the Chamber Board of Directors this morning. I ask my fellow board members to stand when I call your name and remain standing. If you would please hold your applause until the very end. First, I'd like to recognize my friend and colleague, Brandon Hess. He is the past chairman. He works with Mattingly Food Companies and Shea Hess Commercial Real Estate. And unfortunately, he was denied the privilege of standing up here in front of you last year. So thank you, Brandon, for continuing to serve within the board. Mr. Reuben Clark, Chair-elect from Rev Local. Mr. Jason Hall, Treasurer, TrueCore Federal Credit Union. Danny Cooperrider, First Federal Savings. Seth Ellington, Waste Away Systems. Brad Feitner Jr., Associated Insurance Agencies. Joan Franks from Matesic Distributing Company. Tina Grove from Hendrickson Auxiliary Axle Systems. Tabby Hahn from Edward Jones. Chuck Moore from the Food Pantry Network of Licking County. Jennifer Roberts from the Newark Campus Development Fund, Thomas J. Evans Foundation, and the Gilbert Reese Family Foundation. Steve Noth, who is our individual board member. Todd Ware from the Energy Cooperative, and last but not least, Mr. Jeff Wilson from the Park National Bank. Ladies and gentlemen of the board, thank you for your leadership. Let's give them a round of applause. Finally, we would not be able to make this event happen without the contribution and expertise of a group of created and committed individuals that we call the Groundhog Committee. With a new location, this group actually has a reserved table instead of standing on the back in the bleachers of our auditorium. So committee members, please stand as I call your name. Spencer Barker from Corrigan Global Living and Newark City Councilman. Mike Birkmeyer from Madison Collins Stevens Agency. Tom Cummiskey from Park National Bank. Judge Tom Marcelain from the Licking County Common Pleas Court. Heather Powell, the Edwards Group at Morgan Stanley. Ryan West, First Federal Savings and Chamber team member. And Jennifer McDonald, Brittany Misner, and Amelia Hitchens from our team. Ladies and gentlemen, if you could give them a round of applause. Thank you all very much. The Licking County Foundation is this year's sponsor of the Groundhog Breakfast, and 2022 is a milestone for their foundation, celebrating 65 years of compassion in action. It is my privilege to congratulate you on this milestone and direct your attention to the screen and welcome the board chairman, Noble Snow, and executive director, Connie Hawk. You'll see their video presentation now.
Good morning. I'm Noble Snow, Chair of the Licking County Foundation's Governing Committee. It's a pleasure to celebrate the Licking County Chamber's 66th annual Groundhog Breakfast and launch the new year with our community partners. It's also a pleasure to have the opportunity to celebrate 65 years of our community's compassionate actions. Kind actions taken by generations of individuals, families, businesses, and nonprofits with a common goal of making a difference in the lives of others in our own backyard.
65 years ago, a small group of inspired local civic leaders met to discuss how to ensure that quality of life in Licking County would always improve. The first organizational meeting of the Licking County Foundation was held on November 21st, 1956. This group's actions set in motion decades of charitable support for improving the quality of life for all citizens of Licking County and for creating new possibilities. Thanks to dedicated volunteer leaders, sound stewardship of gifts, and outstanding community partnerships, what began 65 years ago has grown to provide scholarships, strategic grants, and donor-designated supportive programs and services to help people live happy, healthy, and hopeful lives. In 1968, the foundation was home to 14 charitable funds with total assets of over $284,000. Today, the foundation is home to nearly 300 charitable funds and nearly $130 million in assets. Without community contributions, collaborations, and connections, the foundation would not have been able to provide this great community with the help and support that was so vital during the pandemic and as we emerge from it. While there were challenges, we are excited to share our story of resiliency, resourcefulness, dedication, and many, many compassionate actions by people in our community. Thanks to our neighbors, LCF was able to do more than just continue to operate during these challenging times. In 2020, the Licking County Foundation raised $3.5 million through 960 gifts, established 14 new funds for a total of 278, and provided $3.8 million in grant support and scholarships. One of the earliest gifts to the foundation came in 1957 when 6 donors provided 11 acres of land at South 2nd Street for building Mound City Little League Park. In 2020, nearly 700 generous donors made gifts to establish funds, build existing funds, honor or memorialize special people or milestones, and support the foundation's programs, initiatives, or unrestricted fund. 2020 truly became the story of diverse stakeholders coming together to lift others. When the pandemic arrived, this community responded. Within weeks, the Foundation and the United Way of Licking County partnered to raise and distribute funds to meet the basic needs of Licking Countyans. Over $300,000 in gifts were received. 24 grants were dispersed to nonprofits to provide everything from personal hygiene items and PPE to health services, clothing, and food. Together, we helped the Licking County Aging Program assist homebound senior citizens. We helped Pathways of Central Ohio continue the 211 Crisis Hotline and Information Center as an essential resource during the pandemic. We also helped the Salvation Army feed families and adults. Grants will continue to be given from our COVID-19 Relief Fund until depleted. Each of our charitable funds is an inspiring reminder that our capacity to give is limited only by our imagination. Our fund donors come from every walk of life and every generation. Their gifts vary in size, their interests are diverse, and each fund has a purpose that matches the donor's philanthropic passion. For example, the Alpha Chi Omega Legal Assistance Fund was established by Denison University's Delta Xi chapter alumni to support victims of domestic violence who need legal assistance. The Beth Barton Eckels Memorial Scholarship Fund was established in her memory by her husband, family, and friends to provide assistance to women who are pursuing careers in cosmetology, art, or fashion design. The Licking County NAACP Scholarship Fund was created by this organization's board to assist Black, Indigenous, and people of color who want to further their studies at a college, university, and technical or trade school. Establishing a fund is a simple process that starts with a conversation. Gifts can also be made to existing funds in any amount by anyone at any time. To learn more, please give us a call. In 1971, the governing committee discussed the need to expand the foundation and use discretionary funds in meeting the needs of the community. Up until that time, the foundation focused its efforts on the acquisition of property to benefit the community, like the development of the Newark campus and public parks. Grants made by the foundation were mostly scholarships. From the very beginning, our donors believed that having strong nonprofit organizations and supporting the services they provide are integral to Licking County's vitality. In 2020, we distributed more than 330 grants across a broad range of programs. The foundation strives to support both our donors and our nonprofit partners as we work together to improve the community. Here's a sample of this support and its impact. The Dawes Arboretum introduced a world-class exhibition of 60 wind sculptures on their central grounds. Fostering Further purchased a building for use as transitional housing for emancipated youth. And the Friends of the Licking County Library received support for its ongoing county-wide literacy program provided by the Dolly Parton Imagination Library. In 1986, LCF Secretary J. Gilbert Reese was asked to write a letter to the superintendent of the county schools, Newark schools, and Granville schools, advising that applications for scholarships would be accepted and considered. There were 4 applicants that year. LCF's first scholarship was awarded to Patsy Lee Kearns in the amount of $1,000. The foundation remains committed to making education and training after high school attainable and affordable. In 2020, more than 100 scholarship funds allowed us to award more than $1 million to 347 deserving area students. LCF scholarship recipients headed to 84 different schools across the country, with 80% heading to Ohio institutions. Though their backgrounds and areas of study are diverse, our scholars had one thing in common: gratitude for donors' investments in their futures. One scholar summed it up like this: "I am both humbled and grateful that someone I have never met would be willing to invest in my future. I hope that one day I can give back to a student the way you have to me." The Licking County Foundation is well positioned to take on special initiatives, responding proactively and strategically to unique challenges and opportunities across Licking County. Here's a sample of initiatives that brought people together to create a better community in 2020. We learned together through 5 virtual trainings to become more aware, more impactful, and more equitable. Over 300 participants represented a wide cross-section of our community. We reimagined and revitalized 2 downtown Newark community resources. The refresh of Foundation Park brought additional green space, accessible seating, and gathering places, plus a beautiful pollinator garden. We continued our restoration of the Louis Sullivan Building. The exterior was completed, and today it looks like it did when it opened in 1915. Breathtaking. Up next is the interior restoration and annex build. Stewardship of the assets entrusted to us is one of our most important responsibilities. When gifts are placed in our care, donors can count on the foundation to operate efficiently, invest wisely, and disperse impactfully. In 1967, board member John Alford reported that the foundation's income cash balance, or what we now call an operating budget, was overdrawn by $67.83. Today, LCF's total assets are in the top 5 of all Central Ohio foundations. Our team's careful attention ensures that donor legacies will endure and grow, that our community will thrive and improve, and that our collective actions will always be compassionate.
Hello, I'm Connie Hawk, Licking County Foundation's director since 2007. I hope that you enjoyed this snapshot of our great community's philanthropic actions then and now. Coretta Scott King's quote captures what happens here year after year. It's also the theme of our recently released yearly report, which you'll find on our sponsor table near the entrance. In 1959, the governing committee discussed the possibility of having a survey made of community needs, attempting to bring about a consent of action to solve some of the community's major problems. This consent of action is still one of the best ways to keep moving forward. So what's next? All of you are part of our community's path of continuous advancement too, and we want to ask you, if you had to choose one thing to improve the lives of others in Licking County, what would it be? There are so many possibilities, and we want to hear yours. Tell us. Click on the QR code on the screen or on the back of your placemat. We hope you will help us spread the word. Share this question with your friends, family, co-workers, clubs, faith communities, and neighbors. Please take a supply of our QR-coded bookmarks, also on the sponsor table, to any place our community gathers. Thank you, Licking County, for your compassion and action, helping to improve lives since 1956. Together, we can continue making a difference in the place we call home.
A special thank you to our Licking County Foundation colleagues for all you do for the residents of our community and for those remarks. You know, I'm going to go off script for just a second and then come back, and I know that my table gets a little nervous when I do this. But people asked me when I left here for 5 years, I was here for 14, left for 5, and came back. They're like, what draws you back to Licking County? What draws you back to this community? And I think what you just saw within the Licking County Foundation somewhat sums it up. One thing that Licking County does is they love a good breakfast meeting. God love you all. You like to get up early, you like to gather. And that's a good thing, that's a great thing, because you usually are gathering to celebrate. You're celebrating success, you're celebrating opportunity. This is a community that cares, this is a community that gives. This is a community that thrives because of people like you in this room. And so I thank you, each and every one of you, for what you do and how you do it, and for groups like the Licking County Foundation that help facilitate that process. All right, now I'm going back on script. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we truly appreciate, again, the Licking County's Foundation sponsorship for today's event. Now, like the Groundhog, it's time for a little forecasting. Our economic forecast is time to commence. In the years past, we have taped this forecast, but in 2022, pivoting, as we all know, is the fashion of the day. So we are inviting our guests to come on stage to chat live with each and every one of you now. So if I could invite our forecast representatives to come up, we'll get some things ready here and get you situated in about 10 seconds. We'll see if this is working. Ladies and gentlemen, can you hear us? Let's try this again. Can you hear us now? All right, appreciate that. Just so you know, the music that's playing, this is my entry music. It's from The Greatest Showman, because today is the greatest show. So with that, we are gathered together to have a little economic forecast with some of the greatest showmen and women in our Licking County group. So today we have Kendra Proudfit from the DoubleTree Hotel. We have Dave Stewart from Screen Machine, and we also have Chris Eckels from the Monte Christopher Holdings Group. So we represent a little bit of the diverse perspectives and businesses here in our community. And we're going to start, Kendra, with you first. Tell me, it's no secret that the hospitality industry has been hit hard by the pandemic. We know that. Tell us about your experience at DoubleTree by Hilton in Newark and how you've adjusted and recovered in that process.
Well, the experience was something else, as all of you have experienced. First of all, we were blessed to have a contract group that extended through 2020 that gave us a good base to continue to keep our doors open and not be as negatively impacted as other hotels have been. And to this day, we still have hotels that are still impacted by travelers not getting out and about. But what we did, you know, it was emotional. And you had so many parts to take care of. You have yourself and your family, which is near and dear to you. And then you also have your associates, you have your guests, you have your vendors, because we're part of their livelihood. And trying to control all those emotions and protect the asset of our ownership in this hotels, it was very, it just keeps coming back to emotional. And you found out who was in it, who was a believer and who was in it for the community. And with that, we all said, okay, we can do this. We had to make adjustments. We watched our expenses. We had to make some tough decisions on staffing. But at the end of the day, a lot of people said, you know what, I'm not comfortable. I'm going to stay home for a while. And then a lot of people said, I'm not going to let this stop me. I'm going to be here to work in this community and to give people a safe environment to come and to stay and still be able to travel. So we look at it, we say, okay, let's change our business. What do we do from a prospecting standpoint? And people pulled positions, and still are, that they normally didn't do. For example, director of sales, she did not have groups to sell to. We could not come together in large groups. So she said, you know what, I'm going to work the front desk. I'm going to talk to each person that comes into our hotel and figure out why they're here, what I can do to make their stay more comfortable, what I can do to make them feel safe. And then by doing that, find out who's starting to travel, how companies are planning to open back up and get back into the environment. So managing all of those, understanding that we weren't going to just sit back and watch this happen and finding new ways to sell, it motivated us to put a new plan in action. It motivated us to say, people need fewer people in a group, more space. Okay, we can do that. We need box lunches, not buffets. Guess what? We can do that too. It's the bending over backwards and making people feel safe. It was the big thing, and keeping that social distancing. And to this day, we have some people who are, okay, we're back in this, we're going to live life normal, but we also have some step back, let's be a little slower, let's keep the social distancing going, but definitely accommodating our guests and taking care of them. And then our vendors, you know, looking at them and giving them an idea when our business starts to grow so that they can continue to forecast with their growth. And adjusting was difficult, a lot of tears, but it was also very strong, very passionate, very believing. And you look at how we rebounded, and again, finding new ways to sell and meeting the needs of our customers. And we took the opportunity to do things right, which a lot of us in Licking County did. We renovated our restaurant. We also built a Starbucks licensee. You know, and you look at how not only what the DoubleTree did, but look what this beautiful Cherry Valley Hotel did during that time period. And you look at the creation of events and rebounding. We rebounded together. The ballparks opened up in that June of that year. And if it wasn't for them, you know, what would our restaurants look like? What would our shopping look like? What would our lodging taxes look like? So it was a very thoughtful, very emotional, very passionate experience and recovery for that.
Wow, so much pivoting. We've talked about that earlier, and having to kind of recreate and reconceptualize what you're doing. How do you go about budgeting and forecasting after that past 2-year system?
It's crazy. You look at trends, you look at what's happening in the market. What we saw from a DoubleTree in 21 is we gained 50% of the revenues that we'd lost in 2020. And for 2022, we're expecting to change that number to 75% of what we lost. But we have many tools at our fingertips. We have the Smith Travel Research reports that we can see what's happening in the area. We have mix of sales to see what businesses are traveling and how we can get more pieces of that. We also have PACE reports for group sales, for catering, and we see the growth that's happening not only with our DoubleTree, but keeping a pulse on what's going on in the community. And for example, I'm on the Explore Licking County board, and when we ended 21, we collected more lodging tax than we expected, which is a huge indicator that we're on the right track. And when we look at budgeting for 2022, For DoubleTree, and I can say for Explore Licking County as well, we're pretty close to where we were in 2019. And we expect to be fully recovered by 23, maybe 24, but it's rebounding very nicely.
Excellent, excellent. I appreciate hearing that. That's great news. What is your outlook for 2022, not only for the Hotel and Elements restaurant, but for the area's tourism and hospitality industry in general in Licking County?
Definitely growth. We are seeing more business travel throughout the week, which is good for all of us. We are seeing people coming out of their room. They want to come down and know what's happening in the area. They want to know what restaurants they can go to visit. And they are exploring more than they used to. Before, unfortunately, you'd see them come in the door, take the elevator through the room, and not see them again until tomorrow morning. That's changed. Everybody's excited to be out and about because Licking County has done a great job at making it a safe environment and creating events and places for people to continue to come back to. When you look at what we've done with the ball fields, hockey arenas, you look at the Newark station. We created a DORA for the downtown Newark, Buckeye Lake infrastructure. I mean, the list goes on. But we in this county are doing everything we can to grow the businesses, bring people to our county, and we provide them with such good hospitality that they keep coming back. And we can't speak more about our community than the growth and the opportunity, and a huge thank you to everybody in this room for allowing us to provide a place to lay people's head to experience everything you have to offer.
Kendra, we thank you very much. We wish you nothing but the best for the DoubleTree and for Elements and for all of our hospitality industry as we move forward. Thank you. We're going to shift gears a little bit and move over to Dave, and Dave Stewart, again from Screen Machines. Dave, there's been a great deal of focus for some time now on workforce availability and development, critical issues. How does Screen Machine address recruitment, retention, and training, and what's your experience with the local and regional talent pool?
Well, good morning, everyone. I think it's safe to say everybody here would agree that probably the two toughest jobs in business right now are Human Resources Director and Purchasing Manager. So if either any of you have that job, you have my sympathies. But we'll talk about supply chain a little bit later, but human resource wise, step back and talk a little bit about Screen Machine to tell you who we are. We make big rock crushing and screening machines out in Etna, Ohio at I-70 and 310. Sometimes some of you may see our machines shaped like Ohio as you drive by during the football season. But basically these machines take big rocks, make them into little rocks, and then our screening machine take the little rocks and separate them into the same size rocks, and they're used for everything you could possibly imagine. So to do that, we start with a flat piece of steel, we cut it, we bend it, we weld it, we paint it, we assemble it, we put an engine on it, we put tracks on it, and we roll it out the door, and it goes all over the country and all around the world. Now to do that requires a lot of skilled labor and a lot of semi-skilled labor, and to be honest, over the past 2 years we've struggled to get especially the semi-skilled labor. Again, talking about where we're located in Etna, if any of you have been through there, it's the distribution mecca of the Midwest. We have Amazon, we have Ashley Furniture, Kohl's, and we have $1 million or $1 million foot spec warehouse going in right across the street. So lots of competition for jobs. Some of these businesses are paying $20 just to run a forklift. Well, we're asking guys to come in at a similar rate, and we're asking them to do all that cutting and bending and painting and assembling. So it's a lot more work than driving a forklift. But we think we do a pretty good job of getting the message out and talking about, you know, American pride, American made, and getting them on board. Once we get them on board, we're very good at retention. We offer probably a lot of the same benefits you all offer: signing bonus, referral bonus, profit sharing, affordable health care, free clothing, and we big on recognition and celebrating their victories because they're integral to our success. So we really empower our employees to be part of the team and help us write our own story. A couple of areas we've got unique in to try and get people to take interest in us and stand out from the crowd. One is we do geo-targeting on Facebook. So we basically take Licking County and all the contiguous counties, and we target ads to people who have an affinity for what we do, you know, be it welding or heavy equipment or whatever. And when we did that, we saw a big uptick in people who expressed interest in coming to work for Screen Machine. The other thing we've done is video specific to jobs, so that we have a welder video, we have an assembly video, we have a material handler video, and we put those right on our LinkedIn postings or our Indeed postings, anywhere we have job postings. And again, video sells on social media, so as soon as we put those videos out there, we saw a big uptick in interest again in Screen Machine because it got our name out there. So if you're looking for people, hopefully not the same people as me, I would suggest putting videos on your job postings.
Excellent. I appreciate that. Some innovation, some development. I think we're all struggling with some of those similar issues. And you started to allude to some of this too, as the pandemic has brought on supply chain issues and increased costs for almost all of our businesses, but it seems especially hard on our manufacturing sector. Can you touch on what you're experiencing at Screen Machine and how you're dealing with?
Yeah, we talk about this every week in our leadership meeting that beyond supply chain, these are extraordinary times in business. Probably no time in business have we faced all the hurdles we have right now. The first, it was COVID and all that it brought and continues to bring, and having to pivot and make sure our employees are safe and taking care of our employees who have been infected and making sure we get them back on the job as quickly as we can. Then out of the blue comes supply chain issues, which nobody saw coming and really is not related to COVID at all. So we have COVID, then we have supply chain, and we don't see that changing anytime in the near future. Specific to our business, as I said, we buy a lot of steel. Last year, steel prices went up 500% in 3 months. Well, obviously that has a huge impact on our business. It's come down, and again, nothing to do with COVID, nothing to do with supply chain. It was simply the steel industry getting together and say, it's time to raise our prices, and they did so rather fabulously. It's come down a little now. It's only 400% more than it was a year ago. But again, that has a big impact, and we have to scramble to adapt to it. And then finally, the latest development that we're dealing with is transportation. There is a definite trucking shortage. We have a hard time getting materials in. We have a hard time getting our machines out just because there's a limited amount of trucks out there. So it's a big challenge for us.
Appreciate that. And I'm going to jump in here and shamelessly plug, at Central Ohio Technical College, we are starting a CDL class. So anybody who needs trucking, please let us know. Okay, we're back, I swear. All right. Thanks, Dave. Appreciate you very much. Last but not least, what is your forecast for your business for 22 and beyond?
Well, this is trade show season in our business. Everybody goes out before the busy season starts in the spring and summer. We had our sales team in Orlando last week. They're in Austin, Texas this week. They'll be in Nashville in a couple weeks. So it's a good time to be in sales and get out of the freezing weather in Ohio. But while these guys are on site, they come back and give us the lowdown on what they've learned. And you know, they talk to our customers, they talk to our suppliers, they talk to our competitors. And their sense when they came back last week was, and I'll put it in air quotes, everybody is cautiously optimistic, because who knows what the next year is going to bring, who knows what the coming years are going to bring. But we all feel like there's a lot of demand, there's a lot of potential, and through 2022 and probably well into 2023 as well. But again, all this relies on the things we've been dealing with, which I just talked about. Number one, will we have enough workers to do the production we need to do? Number two, will we have the supplies we need to build the machines? Number three, will the logistics be there to support getting the stuff we need across the water and across the highways? And then number four is the big unknown that I haven't really touched on. What impact will inflation have? We saw a couple weeks ago inflation at its highest level since 1988. Well, typically when prices start going up, people and companies stop buying. But then we saw yesterday that the economy grew at the fastest rate since 1984. So hopefully those two kind of balance each other out. But until then, I think, again, everybody is just cautiously optimistic what the future will bring.
I appreciate that, Dave. You know, to paraphrase Dickens, these are the best of times, these are the worst of times.
There you go.
And we try to manage between them and challenge ourselves, but capitalize on those opportunities as well. Thank you very much. All right, I'm going to shift my gear over to our last presenter, Chris Eckels. Chris, tell me, what makes Licking County an attractive location for Monte Christopher Holdings and your multiple businesses?
So, thanks for the opportunity and these chairs. I feel like I'm going to have a workout getting out of it. But suffice to say, I grew up in Reynoldsburg, Ohio, and back in those days, it seemed like you needed a passport to get out here. Come out Old Broad Street, and My wife and I got married in the late 90s, chasing jobs and money, moved her 15 times, started the core business that's under Monte Christopher now, Cyan Education Services, in 2008, which I don't know if you guys are history majors or not, that wasn't a great year, but could live anywhere. And we decided to bring the kids back home to be raised around family. And we did an evaluation of where we wanted to raise our kids. And there's not a better way to vet a location than for family. Business falls in line after family. So we chose Licking County, and what's happened as a result has been a blessing. I always I play hard, I work hard, and I like to surround myself with people that I like to spend time with. And work is a big component of your time. So it's been a blessing. It really has been a blessing. And then when you come into an event like this and you have a young lady, Leighton, that was awesome if you're still here. That was unbelievable. So you talk about talent. And then you have a venue and a group of people that are willing to stand up and still salute the flag, and you're allowed to say the name of Jesus. I mean, that's special. And thank you for the politicians in this front row that allow that to still be legal. But Licking County has so much to offer. I mean, I work and play with my banker. I work and play with my realtor. I work and play with my insurance agent. I mean, so it's unbelievable. And then the talent back there at that table, I think 4 rows back, I can barely see. But there's a collection of people that are just talented that have allowed me to sit here. They should be heard more than me. But there's a group of talented folks that represent 5 different companies under our umbrella. And it's because we chose this location.
I appreciate that, Chris, and I echo what you say. It's a remarkable place to live and to work and to learn and to play. And thank you for buying the bottle of bourbon that I put in for the Rockin' Auction as well. So thank you, my friend. So your businesses that you've co-founded and your portfolio of businesses are wide and diverse. Tell us how the pandemic has affected your businesses and how did they differ based upon those industry sectors?
So we're in technology, we're in manufacturing, and we're in education. But we're based in the US. So our manufacturing side of things did experience some delays in getting some materials. It experienced a little bit of logistical issues with trucking and what have you. But we grew. We produced flake glass. And the only other competitor is overseas. And guess what? People started calling because they couldn't get flake glass from overseas. So we were blessed from that standpoint. We're also in education. Education was really utilized on the online platform. We have an online platform, so, you know, rising tide raises all ships, a low tide exposes people. So we were excited to see growth during this time, and we took advantage of it. But, you know, I know that it's been tough for a lot of folks. We've been blessed from that standpoint, and we're also excited to be a part of a community that does give back, and we've been able to do so during that time. So thank you for that opportunity.
Appreciate that very much. You know, these are unprecedented times, and nobody can really predict or could have predicted how we got to where we are today. The challenges, the opportunities that were presented. But if I say to you, Chris, what's your prediction for business and the economy in 2022? What would you tell me?
Well, I asked Mr. Balderson, are we going to take the House in 22? But suffice to say, keep our heads down and keep plowing through. I believe that we have an unprecedented amount of cash on the sidelines. And I think you're going to see a lot of money continuing to come into industry. We've seen a ton come into ed tech ourselves. We compete in that arena. But I think, as my friend Dave mentioned, caution, but optimistic. I think that's appropriate, but I think you're gonna see some real growth opportunities as well. And there's always gonna be opportunities regardless of what's happening in DC.
Indeed. I appreciate it. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank Kendra, I want to thank Dave, I want to thank Chris for your insight, your experience, your expertise. Thank you for sharing. Ladies and gentlemen, if we could give them a little appreciation. Thank you, dear.
Just believe it.
Just get stuck. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you. Well, we have a special guest. Well, hello. Now, do I refer to you as Ground or Mr. or Miss Hogg? Welcome, welcome. Oh, well, thank you. That's fantastic. That's great news. Ladies and gentlemen, a little round of applause for the Hogg. Now, how many people get to enjoy a dancing groundhog on a Friday morning? Excellent job, Mr. Groundhog. We appreciate you very much. You must know a thing or two about how to have a great time. Thank you, my friend. All right, moving on. You may know that Licking County Chamber of Commerce is one of the few chambers nationwide that is accredited by the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. And here to tell you a bit about that and their re-accredited status is Kevin Courtois, Executive Director of the Great Lakes region of the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. Ladies and gentlemen, Kevin.
Well, thank you, John. And how do I follow a dancing groundhog? I have to say there's a first for everything. This is the first event that I've had a dancing groundhog at. Well, good morning. Thank you all for this opportunity, this place on the agenda to speak with you today. My name is Kevin Courtois. I'm Executive Director of the Great Lakes Regional Office for the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. I am based in Chicago, and as I was reminded this morning, that is the Central Time Zone. I left my phones on the table. If my alarm goes off in about 30 minutes, just silence it, please. So today I'm pleased to recognize the Licking County Chamber. You know, since 1964, the U.S. Chamber's accreditation designation has been the only program of its kind that defines excellence in chamber planning and recognizes individual chambers for outstanding contributions to their communities. And that's why I'm here today, to recognize the high-quality expertise and strong leadership displayed by Jennifer McDonald, John, and your whole team. Last November, this chamber earned the designation of a 5-star accredited chamber, going from 4-star to our highest honor, a 5-star accredited chamber. With this, the Licking County Chamber joins an elite group of chambers from across the country. You know, there are nearly 7,000 chambers across the United States, and there are only 200 chambers that are accredited, just accredited. Moreover, the Licking County Chamber is only one of 135 5-star chambers and one of only 3 here in Ohio. You know, this 5-star accreditation, it reaffirms the great work of your staff and your volunteers. During the review of the accreditation application, the Chamber had a number of, our panel noted a number of outstanding qualities. The Chamber was noted for having a retention rate of 93% average over the last 3 years, which is outstanding. The Chamber was recognized for its efforts to grow its reserves, for supporting the continued professional development of its staff, and for adding several benefit offerings to employees since its last accreditation. As we've seen, it does a great job of recognizing its volunteers. The Chamber was commended for its partnership with the Licking County Health Department, on its reopening checklist, and for its utilization of multiple platforms to keep members informed. The Chamber's efforts to address its workforce issues through the Workforce Focus Group and partnerships to support LickenCountyWorks.org were also commended. You know, the Chamber has established a strong relationship with its elected leaders, as I learned this morning. I personally know that the Chamber worked with Congressman Balderson in helping businesses get through the early days of the pandemic, the CARES Act and the Paycheck Protection Program. And of course, you host your annual Washington Night, and you have candidate forums as well. The Chamber's developed a comprehensive communication and marketing plan for its For the Love of Licking County, the podcast, to increase focus on social media outreach and engagement, and its newly designed website. So in short, Licking County Chamber has earned this 5-star designation. And for us, the U.S. Chamber, you know, we're only able to do what we do in D.C. by the strength of a strong federation of state and local chambers. And of that group, you are among the elite. I thank you again for allowing me the opportunity to salute all of you on this success. So John, Jennifer, and all of you, congratulations on this 5-star accreditation. Thank you again.
Appreciate you, buddy. Thanks for speaking.
Yeah, it fell apart. We'll put this back together.
Thank you very much, Kevin. And we would be remiss not to actually recognize that's a lot of work. They work hard at the Chamber. This team is an exceptional group of individuals who work with an exceptional board, and they motivate us to keep moving forward each and every day. So congratulations to each and every one of you. Now I'd like to invite Chamber President Jennifer McDonald to give an update on the activities of your Licking County Chamber of Commerce.
Good morning. How is everybody? I like to look at a computer instead of paper. So good to see everybody in person. Last year we had to go virtual. Brandon Hess is in the audience, our past chairman, and he agreed to be chairman because he wanted to be upstage on the stage for the Groundhog breakfast, and unfortunately we had to do that videotape. But he did a great job. And unfortunately, Edward Jones was not able to sponsor last year, so we will be putting them into 2024. But congratulations, I think a lot of your teams here on 100 years. Big milestone. Big milestone. I'd also like to thank Kevin from the U.S. Chamber. We rely on the U.S. Chamber for a lot of the best practices that we put in place and a lot of our legislative updates, so thank you again for being here. As Kevin mentioned, we have implemented a lot of new programs, and I'm going to tell you just a little bit about that. But I also like to say thank you again to our board of directors. You know, 2020 was a different year, and 2021 wasn't a whole lot different. But they definitely led the way and were super supportive of our team. So I thank you again. We also have probably 100 or so that are on committees and our affiliate boards. So thank you to all of you for all you do. But I'd be remiss if I didn't say much of the accolades go to the women on stage right here. I would like to introduce them briefly and tell you a little bit about them. So first is Brittany Misner. She's our vice president. She is in charge of membership and all of our affiliate programming, and really was the spearhead behind the Workforce Focus Group and the Small Business Council, and has really been, I call her my partner in commerce, not crime. We don't do that. Commerce, partner in commerce, and she's a huge asset. Next is Atrina Good. She is our office manager. You receive your invoices from her. But on top of all that, she's kind of the glue that holds us all together. She's the calm one. She really has helped a lot with our financials and adding to our reserves and giving us advice for that. And she also coordinates our safety council. And finally, Amelia Hitchens. She's our newest member. I think we're at 4 months now. Yeah, so she's our marketing director and coordinates our events. She's great with social media, so you'll see a lot of posts from her on social media, loves to take pictures, and is really fitting in well. So I just want to say thank you again for all you do. You're the awesome group. So again, you're not here to hear me, so I will promise you that my remarks are going to be brief, because there's a TV in front of me and I can see myself and it's bugging me. But I do want to tell you a little bit about our chamber programming. As I mentioned, last year we did implement a small business council, which was really kind of the missing link with all of our affiliates. And that is a program and opportunity for those businesses with 1 to 50 employees to get some professional development, to come together and network, and has been really successful. We also added For the Love of Licking County podcast with help from Jamie Wright and the Makery Company. So if you haven't listened to some of our podcasts, they feature leaders from the community talking about entrepreneurship. Some of it's just talking about food and fun things to do. So you can check that out on our website. And then I believe Justin Fickus is here, and he's actually chairing the Small Business Summit that we are planning for June. So you'll hear more about that coming up. We also expanded our Women's Leadership Network. We've always met quarterly, but we moved the location, and now we're seeing upwards to 100 women meeting each time that we come together for professional development. But even more important, I think it's building that network. In addition, this past year marked 5 years for Young Leaders of Licking County. I remember the first year I was president, we announced this new group for those 21 to 40, and it has been overwhelmingly successful. We never fathomed it would be this successful. We immediately got about 300 members. We're still 300 plus members strong. I want to tell you a little bit of the stats too. We also saw 36 young professionals go through our mentorship program over that time period. They were able to raise $29,000 for nonprofits in our community, and not to mention the thousands of hours of volunteer activities they are part of. So after 5 years, this group has only expanded in its reach and impact. If you are in that age category of 21 to 40, I totally encourage you to get involved. We also implemented, as John mentioned, a workforce focus group, and that has been very important during this time. I just saw 2.7% is our unemployment rate, all-time low. That's crazy. I don't know about applauding, but we know that your struggle is real. And in response, our workforce development has been added as a topic for all of our affiliate programming and all of our local leaders programming, which we have expanded to 6 times per year instead of quarterly. Our partnerships with both of our community improvement corporations, both Newark Development Partners and Grow Licking County, have seen some amazing changes, development, and redevelopment. The plans for the Newark Arcade, if you haven't seen them, are amazing. The work, they're getting underway right now, and we're really excited to see that continued rebirth for downtown Newark. And Grow Licking County has helped to facilitate some creative workforce advertisements. I can see Alexis and Haley sitting there right now if you haven't met them. New executive director and assistant director, I encourage you to reach out to those ladies. We've worked on some creative workforce advertisements in conjunction with Ohio Means Jobs Licking County to reach out to those areas with higher unemployment to encourage them to come here for their career. We've also implemented the new website, wehavethejobs.com. So you need to check that out, and it's only jobs in Licking County. They've also been responsive in assisting many expansions and development announcements this past year. Speaking of which, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the impact of last Friday's announcement from Intel and what it means for our community. What an awesome opportunity for our community. It is the biggest economic development project the state has ever seen. And if you watched on Fox News or CNN or wherever you watch it, they said Licking County, Ohio. So I loved that, loved it. So I go to a chamber institute through the U.S. Chamber in Athens, Georgia, and it's they kind of make fun of our name, Licking, and I don't even think about it. That's just the name of our county. But they saw that on the news and were like, I know where that is. I know that person. So kudos to all involved, Grow Licking County, all of our elected officials that played a part in having this happen. An average starting wage of $135,000, that's a game changer. You know, it's a game changer for our residents and our future generations. It really puts Licking County on the map. And as Rick Platt, who is sitting right in front of me, often says, we have the secret sauce. So I've been stealing that from him. And you know what the secret sauce is? It starts with the existing manufacturing base. And that sauce is that combination of our existing manufacturers, available land, buildings, our access to 161, 70, Columbus, and Port Columbus. But I also think what sets us apart and really might be the most important are our relationships, our collaborations. We know each other's names. I know many of you, almost all of you in the audience. And we work together and we work in sync. And boy, do we have to continue doing this over the next few years. Although super exciting, that announcement of Intel last week only deepens the concern about our workforce availability and the worry that our current businesses may be overshadowed. That is something that we will work to make sure does not happen. I encourage you to get involved. I may be preaching to the choir right now, as I know most of you in the audience, but tell your neighbor, your suppliers, your customers, tell them our narrative, why we are so successful, our secret sauce. There will be obstacles, workforce, housing, transportation, but I know the Chamber is ready to help be a part of those solutions. I'm confident many of you will as well. It's going to be an exciting time to be living and working and playing in Licking County. We are a proud community. This is my transition so that the slide will come on, which reminds me, we have this year's edition of Proud Magazine ready for you in the back as you leave, thanks to the Newark Advocate. It includes many stories about the people and businesses in our community and our recent success stories. The cover showcases the new John and Mary Alford STEM Center, the campus of The Ohio State University at Newark and Central Ohio Technical College. Such an important local resource for training our workforce in STEM careers. Congratulations to my chairman, Dr. Berry, on the celebration of that and 50 years of COTC. So I promise to be brief. In closing, I just want to thank you all. I want to thank you for all you do, for being a chamber member, for playing a part in our success, and I ask you to continue that. We're going to work toward providing informative programming, connections, and platforms for the betterment of our community. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Awesome.
Thank you, Jennifer. Appreciate that. And thank you for the unsolicited shout out. We appreciate that as well. And ladies and gentlemen, again, I want to highlight something you heard from Kevin and from Jennifer. One of only 3 5-star accredited chambers in the entire state of Ohio. Think about all the different cities, organizations that are within our state. One of only 3 5-star accredited. It's because of the work of what you just heard happen today and the partnership and collaboration that each of you presents to that group. But we appreciate them and we appreciate you. At this time, it is my pleasure to introduce our keynote speaker for today. That is Mr. Michael Allosso. Michael is a master communications expert and self-awareness specialist who coaches CEOs, teams, and individuals in day-to-day communications, dynamic presentations, as well as leadership excellence. He has led award-winning workshops for leaders and sales teams all over the world and is a much sought-after personal coach. His client base ranges from insurance producers to construction managers, doctors to bankers, actors to politicians. As a professional theater and film director, Michael's keen sense of observations enables him to immediately provide his clients with practical tools and to fortify their strengths and refine their weaknesses. Michael has traveled the world bringing his You on Your Best Day program to a wide variety of organizations and businesses. Since he started in 2004, Michael has been a top-rated speaker for Vistage International, the world's largest CEO enrichment organization. During that time, he won an unprecedented 4 Speaker of the Year awards, 2 Members' Choice Awards, the Above and Beyond Award, the Millennium Award, and Speaker of the Year Award for Tech Canada. Most recently, Michael was honored with the prestigious Lifetime Achievement Award. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my privilege to introduce Mr. Michael Allosso.
Your turn. Jen, if we could just move that over the other side, yeah. Over the other side of the podium, thank you. It's perfect. No gym, no church, no restaurants. Holidays were virtual to boot. But today I'm live and dying to know who's in that groundhog suit. Hey, Lincoln County, I hope today you'll inspire us how we can get past this darn coronavirus. Hey, everybody. Hello, hello. Thank you, thank you. Wow. I have been loving watching this. Dr. Barry, you're very poised, very smooth. Notice how organized and structured Dr. Barry is. He even tells us when he's going off script, just so you know. It's so structured, and I admire that because that's what keeps the thing going. It's as clean as a whistle. I love watching you. I love how the structure actually frees the whole team to be more creative. It's beautifully put together. And I don't know, Leighton, it's like Leighton just blew me away. The sheriff's office, I've never seen anything like that at any keynote I've ever done. Like when the sheriff's office did that, I don't know about you, but I welled up. I found that emotional. I found that so moving. And then you get me right in the stomach with Leighton. Like, it's like I haven't heard adults understand the lyrics of the National Anthem as well as you do, Leighton, if you're still here. God bless you, man. And Pastor Rusty Foley, it's like, lots of you said hello. When Rusty says hello, you feel like you're really being warmly greeted. And so, Rusty, I wasn't surprised by your prayer because it demonstrated the same energy and gratitude. Like you express gratitude for my being here, and you express gratitude to God for all of us to be here together. It was consistent. The message was consistent. Those panels, I think, are wicked hard. So Kendra, Dave, and Chris, kudos to you. And Kendra, especially you, because you went first. Because I think panels are awkward. You watch 6 people went to their phone before the panel even started. And then Kendra, right away you made people listen. Because you took control, you took charge, you were in your power center. In theater, we call this part of your body the power center. You were so authoritative, you made people listen to you, and everything you said was interesting and relevant. And I said, poor Dave, he has to follow that, poor guy. And then Dave, your energy is huge. Like Dave, you play to the back row. It's interesting to watch that, to see how you connect, you work the room. And I said, uh-oh, who's gonna follow Dave? And so then you give me the circus act for the conclusion. It's like, you know, like Chris, you had a relationship with the chair. Like that was, and then you talked about passports to get here. And then you had the audacity to talk about the politicians in the room and like to praise them. Like, you don't know what it's like to sit between Kevin Miller and Mark Frazier for this entire thing. Like, it's like being in high school with like 2 goofy dudes like elbowing you the whole time. And so Chris, like you're calling, Chris though, I have to say, I love that you called out people. So few people have the courage to do that. Your whole piece was about other people. And I said, wow, that's great. And dancing Groundhog, usually people who put costumes on do not know how to do choreography. The dancing Groundhog's choreography was pretty darn good. And have you ever worn a suit like that? You sweat bullets. Like doing that much dancing Groundhog, like don't be sad. Why are they ushering him away? Like, is he packing heat? Like you just have to remove him? Like the poor Groundhog. I thought he did a great job. Kevin Courtois, wow, like who are you, man? It's like, is everyone in Chicago like you? So smooth. And here's a great thing that Kevin, what you did. Do you remember what Kevin's first line was, everybody? Like, are you here? Are you awake? Like are you paying attention? He said, how do I follow a dancing groundhog? He didn't know he was following a dancing groundhog. So you had to improvise that line. Kevin, you don't know how often I see people like introduce people and they say, here's Michael Allosso, he's from Boston. He ran the Boston Marathon naked last year and plays with turtles in his bathtub. Michael? And then the Michael guy comes up and says, hi, my name is Michael Allosso. I'm from Boston. Wait a minute, were you listening? The guy said your name, he said you were from where you were from, and aren't you gonna address your fetish with the turtles in the bathtubs? You gotta do something. And so, like Kevin, I love that you immediately responded to the moment, and then you stole, you know, Kevin's brilliant joke writing and didn't give him any credit till later. It's like, you know, it was fun to see you do that. Jennifer, I've never seen you do something like that. You guys are so, do you know how lucky you are to have Jennifer? Because with Jennifer, what you model is confidence and humility in the same breath. If you watch Jennifer, there's no question she's going to hold the stage and keep your attention for the entire time, but the whole thing was about humility. The whole thing seemed to be about Brittany, Katrina, Amelia, and all of us. And Jennifer, I was totally taken by that, because if you're going to say all these things about Licking County, you better be them. You better be them. And that's what I found particularly impressive about what you did. As you can tell, I'm a little giddy about being out. If you listen to my lyrics, I was locked up for 59 weeks. You know, New England isn't like Ohio. It's 59 weeks, nowhere. No gym, no church. You know, and do you know where I was at the beginning of this whole thing? So this whole thing started first week of March 2020. I was in Seattle and San Diego. How's your memory? Do you remember where the epicenter of the virus was? And so somewhere around mid to late February, my wife Peggy became a COVID scholar. She did way too much television watching, way too much reading. And she said, you cannot go on this trip. And folks, I'm the son of a firefighter. So when you make a commitment, you do it. But I love my wife. So I called all the CEOs, all the organizations, and I said, hey, there's this virus and my wife, can we postpone? 201, what every single human being said to me was, oh no, we've been advertising you for a year and a half, you can't do this to us, no. And folks, I'm Catholic, Peggy's Jewish, so there's so much guilt in our house. So in the wee hours of the morning, March 3rd, Peggy crying, me armed with a gallon of Clorox wipes and more hand sanitizer than I had used in the whole rest of my life prior to that moment. I flew into Seattle. SeaTac was empty. It was like a science fiction movie. It was so eerie. I worked for 8 days. Wednesday, March 11th, I flew home, JetBlue flight, San Diego to Boston, 10% full, creepy, landed at Logan, empty. Thursday, March 12th, I had one of those Vistage groups that Jen told you about. And listen to this for homogeneity. All male, all white, all over the age of 63. Write your own stereotype. It was probably accurate. I drove down there, and these are guys that I had worked with maybe 8, 9 years ago, and I hadn't been with them lately, hugging me. We were in a room the size of Rick's table right here. They were on top of me for breakfast, on top of me for lunch. I said, come on, it's flu, Michael, grow up. Drove back to Boston. A client from Houston had flown in, took me out to dinner, downtown Boston restaurant, hug, 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 hug. Next morning, I woke up Friday the 13th, my whole life was changed. I was supposed to do a keynote in New Hampshire, canceled. I drove up to my home on the coast of Maine. Within 72 hours, I had 9 keynotes canceled. And folks, I'm not like you. I'm a small business. Keynote's my high ticket item. Losing 9 in a single weekend, that was a huge percentage of my annual income. And the hits just kept on coming. And every morning, Peggy would wake up and she'd tell me how many people had died in Massachusetts by town. And more egregious than that, perhaps, I learned that I'm no longer master of my home. My dog, Bridie, is. Raise your hand if you're a dog mom or dad. Who are my dog parents? Really? There's that few? I thought you people were nice. Like, do you eat dogs in Licking County? What? Like, there's no COVID fat. 4 walks a day, fetch when she says, tug of war when she says, wake up when she says, and for Bridie, that's preferably sunrise. So 33 pounds of South Dakota Wheaten Terrier on my chest every morning, lapping my face, saying, get up, fat boy, let's walk. And that's pretty much how my days have started. So when my day starts off on the wrong foot, what I tend to do, because I have a show business background, I tend to fantasize about what the perfect day might be. Now, my perfect day is probably dramatically different from all of yours. My perfect day is one where everybody I meet, everyone with whom I come in contact, greets me warmly because they're engaged in a job that they care deeply about. Whether it's a guy who's painting a stripe in the middle of the road or a woman in the laboratory trying to cure a disease, and everyone in between, they all love what they're doing, and it shows. On that day, I go to my Starbucks in my little hamlet just outside of Boston, and the dude who's making my latte cares deeply about my latte. He measures the ingredients really carefully. He seems to have an investment in the fact that I get the jolt I need to start my day off on the right foot. On this day, not one, but both of my children call me. And not out of obligation, not because their mother told them to, not because they need money, but they call me because they're genuinely interested in telling me what they're doing. And what they're doing is good and noble and contributes to society and has something to do with improvement to either my home or my garage. On this day, my wife Peggy lands a 6-figure job, and she comes up with a half a dozen ways for me to more effectively market my business. And she does this all while cooking a 5-course low-carb but delicious meal. My mother calls me on this day from heaven and actually spends the first 10 minutes of the conversation asking about me, before she launches into her usual litany of maladies and ailments. Me, what do I do in this day? I go down to local gym, I work out for an hour and a half, 45 minutes cardiovascularly, 45 minutes lifting weights, I take a luxurious sauna and steam, a long hot shower. I go home, I have 5 corporate clients, all of whom I motivate to greatness, one right after the other. I clean my office so I know everything is the minute I need it. I read a chapter of my book, I adopt a starving kid in Ethiopia, and I teach my South Dakota Wheaten Terrier Bridie a new trick, which she learns immediately. Now, yes, indeed, that is a dream. But if it is a dream, the Reverend Jesse Jackson has told us there are no more impossible dreams. We've removed the ceilings from our dreams. Now, if old Jess is right, my question to all of you is, how do you do that? And the answer is what I call my program today. It's by being you on your best day every minute of every day. What I'm going to present for you this morning are ways you'd upgrade formal presentations like the ones we've been seeing everybody do before me, when you have to speak to groups this size with preparation, groups larger than this with preparation, and certainly the myriad one-on-ones, one-on-twos that you do in the course of a day that you're prepared for. Sure, I want to upgrade all of those. Equally important, if not more so, are all the other exchanges you do in the course of a day that you're not prepared for. For instance, everything I've been listening to since I came down to this room an hour and 55 minutes ago. when you speak to groups this size without a lot of preparation, groups larger than this, and all those times you're speaking one-on-one, one-on-two, both virtually, in-person, hybrid, where you don't have a lot of preparation. My conjecture about this, folks, is that if you upgrade your communication and leadership skills, so will everyone who works for you, above you, with you, lives with you. Excellent communication and leadership skills are infectious. So the takeaway today is by 8:30, whatever time Jen pulls the plug on me, I want each of you to walk out of here with a minimum of 2 ways to upgrade the way you presently communicate and lead. At least 2 ways to enhance your present communication and leadership package. Now, I certainly can't tell from looking at your faces what you know or buy into about actors. So I want to ask you this. What is a skill or talent that you think a professional actor needs to be at the top of his or her game? Any skill or talent? Give me something. You guys deceased? What is happening in here? Anything? Yes, don't. Say again? Improv. Who said improv? And what's your name? Chanda. Chanda? What a gorgeous name. Like rhyming with panda? Do you eat bamboo? Chanda, I'm wicked excited about that. Improv. Thank you, Chanda. One of the things I do back in Boston is I have an improv company called On the Spot Review. So what's an improv company do? I could stand here and I could say, what's something you like to do in your spare time? And whatever answer I hear loudest, clearest first, I could now sing a song with lyrics that rhyme about it. It's just a muscle. If Jen gave me you guys for a week, by the end of the week, I'd have you all doing it. Well, back in the day, I was gigging with this all the time. I'd have gigs at private parties, nightclubs, theaters. So I needed a whole stable full of actors. So occasionally I'd invite an actor to study with me, and the actor would say to me, I would rather roll through broken glass naked than do that program. What were they afraid of? What you said, Chanda, improv. Now, Chanda, those are often the same people that show up at the first rehearsal with all their lines learned. They know what they're gonna wear, what night their family's coming, and what row they're sitting in. They make about $1.65 a week in the small professional theater, but they'll never go to the top because they're missing your piece, Chanda, improv. You know, I'm in Pink Panther 2 with Steve Martin, and they send you the script ahead of time. Can you guess what percentage of the script they sent me ahead of time was actually in the movie?
5%.
Very close. Was that you, Mark? Mark? Wow. I didn't know you spoke in complete sentences. That was like great. That was so good. Oh my Lord, Marco. Mark, you're wicked close. Mark, 0. Steve Martin not only changed what I had to say and do every day, he changed what I had to say and do every take. We'd do a take and then he'd say to me, okay, Michael, how about if you stand here and I do this? Okay, let's shoot. Now, if I had said to him, but Mr. Martin had said in my script that I learned at home, you know where I'd be? At home. They'd find some other loser to play the role. Yeah, no, Chanda, you're right. All the people at the top of their game have high improv skills. What else? Say it again? Who said that? What's your name, sir? Jeff, thank you. And Jeff, let's add observation with our ears too, listening. You know, I started my career as a high school drama teacher, and I stayed active on the Massachusetts Educational Theater Guild for many decades afterwards, and in that capacity, I go back and judge drama festivals. And what's interesting about some high school kids is they're very good when it's their turn, and then they do this thing that I call going to neutral, when you see them waiting for their turn, and then they kick into gear again. To your excellent point, Jeff, what professional actors do is they're very good when it's their turn, and then they stay there, and they observe, and they listen, and they take in data, which informs them of the next thing they're going to do. And we call those skills observation and listening skills. Right on the money, Jeff. You are correct, sir. Was someone saying something else at the same time as Jeff? Did I hear one more? Empathy. What's your name, sir? I can't even see if that's a human being or another groundhog. I can't hear you. Who said that? Sarah? Sarah, my buddy Sarah from this morning? Tara with a T, thank you. I appreciate that. Empathy. Tara, thank you. I appreciate that very much. Yeah, Tara, I had the opportunity and the privilege to direct George Wendt in a one-man show. Do you guys know who George is? Kevin, you should know George. He's from your city. Norm, he played Norman Cheers. He's a Chicago guy. And, you know, when you're in a one-man show, you would think, whoa, big ego trip. You don't need empathy. Wow, not only did George have empathy for me, the director, he had empathy for the playwright, it was a new work, empathy for the investors, they were ubiquitous nervous Nellies. Yeah, Tara, you're right, all the people at the top have a high degree of empathy. Thank you for this list, everybody. A little offended no one said intelligence. But Rick, are there New York Yankee fans here in Licking County? That would explain it. Hey, Licking County, have I mentioned Boston Red Sox have won 4 World Series in the 21st century? No coughing at that. Have I mentioned New England Patriots have been in 9 of the last 20 Super Bowls, winning 6 of them? And the only 3 they lost, Rick, you know this, is because A, God is a New York Giants fan, and B, because God and Satan teamed together to put a hex on the Patriots defense in 2018. Just be real about these things, shall we? Now, let's look at your list. Shonda said improv skills. Jeff said observation, and I added to that observation and listening. Tara said empathy. If I were making a list of skills and talents you need to be outstanding, not good, outstanding at what you do every day in your job as a business leader in this fine community, which one or ones of these should I cross out because you have no need for them whatsoever in what you do? What do you want to lose? Kev, what do you want to lose? Chicago boy, what do you want to lose? I don't want to lose anything. Do you agree with Kevin, everybody? Kevin, put the Miss Columbia crown right on your head. All the rest of you are Miss Philippines or Miss USA. Yes, it's the exact same list. Notice none of you said tap skills, screaming at the top of your lungs, making funny faces in the camera. It's not what great actors do. They do these things. As long as you understand that, you are actors. You're acting from the minute you pull your car in the parking lot in the morning. I was seeing that today. So time zone doesn't matter. It's like this is an obscene time of day for any human being. If you're from Newfoundland, you don't have to be from Chicago. So, you know, it's like when that alarm went off, and Kevin and I both set multiple alarms. I did something I haven't done in 4 years. I called the desk and I said, will you please give me a wake-up call? Do people still do that? Because I didn't trust that my phone would work at that hour. Like, no one wakes up at this hour. And so, you know, I come down, and I walk in here, and who's the first person that I see when I come in here sitting cheerily at the table is Reuben Clark. So what did I do? I kicked into gear. I began my day. That's what I'm asking you all to do every single day, kick into gear. Have you guys ever seen the movie All That Jazz with Roy Scheider? It's a good run for everybody. If you haven't seen this, good downloader. Roy Scheider's the guy in Jaws that said, I think we need a bigger boat. Well, his only Oscar was for a movie called All That Jazz, where he plays Bob Fosse, the great theatrical director, choreographer. Now, Fosse was a genius, but he had a little trouble in his personal life. He was a womanizer, alcoholic, chemical abuser. So when his alarm clock went off in the morning, it was tough for him to get going. So he'd drag his sorry butt out of the bedroom, into the bathroom, look himself in the mirror, and do you know what he said to himself every day to get himself going? It's showtime, right? It's showtime. And the same with all of you. It's showtime. And that's why I'm going to treat this morning partially as if we're an acting seminar. And some of you may have wished that you had stayed in bed and never gotten up, because I want to keep pushing you outside your comfort zone. So let's look at other things that you did not say on your list, because I do love this list. I mean, it's to review. Shonda said this improv thing, which I agree. Jeff said the observation, which I agree with, listening with it, and Tara said empathy. Let's keep adding to this. Let's think about the word energy. You know, I have this thing, everybody, that I call my 35 secret weapons to help you be you on your best day. And the first secret weapon is energy. And I think it's so important. I write it first, I write it 3 times, and I put an exclamation point after it. Dave Stewart, I talked about your high energy. Yeah, there was a survey taken of leaders in our country asking you all what it is that you look for in the people that you surround yourself with. As a multiple choice, you could talk about education, experience, honesty. Number 1 by a landslide was energy and enthusiasm. We want to be surrounded by a life force. Well, you know where I'm going with this, everybody. If that's what you're looking for, you pick the cliche. You got to walk the walk and talk the talk. And the minute you go to this place, someone sees you. And as long as it's all right for your people to go to that place, so you keep right on going to that place. But if you're demanding more from your peeps, you got to put out more. Now, folks, am I asking you to be energetic every moment of every workday? Am I? Indeed I am. I like my table. My table is smart. Terry's smart. Yeah. Only if you want to be excellent. You are aware, folks, that when you walk in the building, all eyes go to you. You are aware that people talk about what mood you're in a given day. They talk about what you're wearing. They talk about who you said hello to, who you didn't say hello to, who you said hello to by name, who you didn't say hello to by name. You can't take that lightly. Now, sure, we all have down times, but if you have a downtime, you got to do what Steve Martin does on the set of Pink Panther 2. You got to go in your trailer and close the door. But if you're dealing with me, a client, your child, your life partner, your employee, Tara, it may not sound very empathetic, but nobody really cares what you did 10 seconds ago, 10 minutes ago, 10 hours ago. You don't really care that I had to get up early this morning. You don't really care that I had to travel from southern Maine like 18 hours to get here. It's not that you're not kind, compassionate people, you are, but if I use those as reasons for obfuscating my excellence today, stay home. Hey, Adam, let's get a handheld mic and let's send it around the room and let's everybody stand up one at a time and tell everybody what all their physical ailments are, their psychological problems, their emotional problems. We all got them, they're all real, but unless you're willing to exonerate the people who made your scrambled eggs this morning, maybe whoever made the eggs this morning bumped their elbow, or their boyfriend dumped them this morning, so they accidentally slipped arsenic into the eggs. Hey, can't be excellent all the time. Well, then you can't exonerate yourself. You know, it's what I've noticed with the whole COVID thing, you know, I love what the pastor was talking about with gratitude. If we learn nothing, we learn gratitude in that whole time. What I learned is that when I did 299 workshops and keynotes virtually in that 59 weeks of lockdown, and every day I think someone came to the screen either struggling with a kid who had special needs, someone in the family dealing with alcoholism, someone in the family dealing with drug abuse, a senior in an assisted living or nursing facility that they didn't have easy access to. I would say every single one of those 299 groups, somebody had one of those 4 things. So what I have to assume is whatever my problems are, they're not as big as yours. And whenever I assume that, I'm always right. So to some extent, I think we need to show up and shut up. During 9/11, George W. Bush said, no one wants to hear the president say, oh, woe is me. And he's right. Now, I love vulnerability. I love Dr. Brene Brown. I love sharing emotional struggles. All that's great. But when you show up, you got to show up. It doesn't necessarily give you a free pass not to be excellent that day, because you just don't know who else in the room is struggling with a bigger problem. Sometimes I see a CEO show up for a team meeting in the morning and they say, oh, I slept with the air conditioner on my neck last night, so I'm going to cancel the team meeting this morning. And there's some young executive who left 2 toddlers screaming with a babysitter to get in there to your meeting on time. No, it doesn't fly with me. Take your free passes, but make sure you're sparse with your free passes. You're entitled if you're struggling but don't show up. If you show up completely, because that's what we're asking others to do. And right now, have you noticed there's no separation between Act 1 and Act 2? Do you know what I mean by Act 1, Act 2? This is Act 1, my business life. Act 2's waiting for me on the coast of Maine. Now, I've been watching your core values, and I don't know about you, but any play I've ever directed or seen, Act 2 is more important than Act 1. So the same energy that I give you, I have to give Peggy on the coast of Maine. Now today, that's easy, because I leave here and from here I'm going to Atlanta. Somewhere between here and Atlanta, whenever I'm ready and I feel like it, I call Peggy and see how she's doing. At home, if I were virtual doing this, I'd turn off the screen at the end of this keynote, and there she is. No separation. All my intermissions were gone during COVID. So what I learned to do was I'd turn off the computer, make a few notes, take a breath and say, it's showtime. And then off I would go see Peggy. That's what I'm asking you to do. If you have to circle the block 3 times before you go in, it's showtime again. Act 2 is more important than Act 1. Which leads me to my number 2 secret weapon that you did not put on this list, that surprised me, that if Jen had hired me to do a week-long acting seminar with you guys, and by the way, you'd all benefit from that, I'd spend the first half day alone on this. It's called focus and concentration. It's what we call in theater being in the moment. Athletes, what do we call it in sports? Being in the what? In the zone. Remember the Olympic athletes, when they were interviewed, how'd you win the gold medal? I was really in the zone. All that means is focus and concentration. It means if Brad and I are doing a scene in a comic play, or playing the scene and the audience laughs, we don't look out and say, oh, that was funny, ooh, and get back into it. We stay in the moment. Kendra and I are doing a love scene in a movie. There's a boom mic over our head, a camera person in our face. Why is that so funny to you, sir? It's like humiliating for me. Boom mic over our head, camera person on our face. Kendra and I have to stay in the moment in order to make the scene. Who said that? Terry, is it you? Woo, Terry. Wicked smart. For those of you who aren't from Boston, wicked smart means wicked smart. So, did you hear what Terry said? So, authenticity, that trumps everything else. Oh, can't use that as a verb anymore. That overshadows everything on the list. Think about it. Their improv skills make them more authentic. Their observation skills, Jeff, make them more authentic. Their empathy, Tara, makes them more authentic. Their energy. Everything we've talked about comes back to what Terry just said. Bottom line is you got to believe the performance. If you didn't believe the performance, you wouldn't even sit in your seat. If I gave you a bibliography right now of all the great acting books ever written, they all have the same title. Acting is believing, the honest actor, the real actor. Look up acting in the dictionary, folks. It says nothing about pretense. Oh, some Webster's has the 5th or 6th preferred definition. Latin scholars in the room, what does acting mean? It's from the same root as action. It means to do, to perform, not to pretend. You know what we call actors who pretend? Unemployed. We don't hire them. So this is always, for me, the most important thing, always, always, always. And here's the thing, Jen, I want to say about what I've seen today, is I think the focus and concentration in the room has been impeccable. I mean, even my fraternity brothers next to me, like, you know, Mark and Kevin, I tease you, but your focus was laser sharp during all the presentations. You know, and I can see you out here. You think in the back that I can't see you. And I don't see very many of these. And that, you know, if you're going to write all these core values about your compassion in action, this can't be on the table while your colleagues are speaking. Is this on the dinner table in Act 2? What message are you sending with that one? And so what I'm struck by today is that not just the words, but by the actions. And if you're going to be bold and audacious to write compassion in action, you can't be a hypocrite. And you're not. That's really stunning to me. That to me is kind of a big deal. You know, and I love, Jennifer, you did such a good job with your whole presentation. And the whole video, did you love that video? I thought that video was so well done and presented your brand so clearly and so simply yet so profoundly. It helped me to understand who you are. And then, Jen, you talked about Rick, the secret sauce. So to me, when you said that, I learned what the secret sauce was. And that's what I've been feeling since I arrived here last night, really with the people at the hotel and everybody. Sarah's one of the first people I met, literally came out of my room today. And Sarah was walking, holding one pair of shoes and another, and wearing another. And Sarah, where are you out there? I don't know where you are, Sarah, because you were one of the first new people I met. And absolutely lovely human being who talked to me about her children, her home, Jacob. It's just, and so I think your secret sauce is love. It's kind of impossible to do any of these things authentically if you don't love other people. If you're just doing it because you're supposed to, that doesn't play for me. And I told you I was locked down for 59 weeks, and you know, you read all those incredible awards I got. You know, I'm allegedly the #1 Vistage speaker. Well, when I was locked down, not only was I losing keynotes, Vistage chairs were calling me thinking they were giving me a compliment. And they said, you know, Michael, I've been to the Super Bowl in person, and I've seen it on TV. It's much better in person, so we're going to cancel you until you could come in person. So now even my little honorariums for Vistage meetings are going out the window. And I told you I couldn't go to church, I couldn't go to the gym, and those two things are important to me. I don't do well watching church on TV, and I don't work out well at home. I need to go someplace else. So all that was taken away, so I started reading things. So as I leave you today, I want to leave you with something that I found that helped me to get through this. And it's written by a man named Brother Richard Hendricks. Are you guys familiar with his work? He's a Franciscan monk in Dublin, Ireland. And ironically, he wrote this on the first day of my lockdown, March 13th, 2020. I found it several weeks later, but it helped me and maybe it'll help you to put things in perspective. This is what Brother Richard said. They say that in Wuhan, after so many years of noise, you can hear the birds again. They say that after just a few weeks of quiet, the sky is no longer thick with fumes, but blue and gray and clear. They say that in the streets of Assisi, people are singing to each other across the empty squares, keeping their windows open, so that those who are alone may hear the sounds of family around them. They say that a hotel in the west of Ireland is offering free meals and delivery to the housebound. Today, a young woman I know is busy spreading flyers with her phone number through the neighborhood so that the elders may have someone to call on. Today, churches, synagogues, mosques, and temples are preparing to welcome and shelter the homeless, the sick, the weary. All over the world, people are slowing down and reflecting. All over the world, people are looking at their neighbors in a new way. All over the world, people are waking up to a new reality. To how big we really are. To what little control we really have. To what really matters. To love. So we pray and we remember that, yes, there is fear, but there doesn't have to be hate. Yes, there is isolation, but there doesn't have to be loneliness. Yes, there is panic buying, but there doesn't have to be meanness. Yes, there is sickness, but there doesn't have to be disease of the soul. And yes, there is even death, but there can always be a rebirth of love. Wake to the choices you make as to how to live now, today. Breathe, listen. Behind the factory noises of your panic, the birds are singing again, the sky is clearing, spring has sprung, and we're always encompassed by love. Open the windows of your soul, and though you may not be able to touch across the empty square, sing. Folks, you're leaders. Leaders have a voice. It would be negligent of you not to use that voice right now when we all need to hear it. Open your mouths, sing. Thank you all for having me. I wish you every blessing. Let's get through this together. Thank you all. Appreciate it.
Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate that, guys. Thank you, sir. Oh, you're well, thank you. It's the dancing groundhog. Ladies and gentlemen, I think we'd be remiss not to give Michael Allosso another round of applause. You know, I greatly appreciated what he shared, and it was interesting because it made me reflect on my own accord. My wife used to work for a group called Education Data Solutions in North Carolina, and they had a mantra that every employee needed to do 3 things every day: show up, smile, and support. That was the one standard that they had kept for everyone, no matter what they did in the organization. And I think there's so much value to that from what Michael said. If you can show up every day, be your authentic self, smile and help other people feel better about what they do, and support the mission and the purpose of your organization, that's half the battle. So again, thank you, sir, very, very much. Mr. Groundhog, what's going on, man? Looking good, feeling good? Oh, I'm telling you, man, you're dancing, you're thumbing, you're doing everything. That is one talented groundhog. We appreciate you very much. There he is. Ladies and gentlemen, we need to share a culminating experience with you. Each year, the Groundhog Committee has the privilege of recognizing an individual who has made a positive impact on our community. The John Alford Community Service Award is given in honor and memory of a great leader who proudly and humbly served our community. The list of award winners demonstrates what a truly special community we have in Licking County. A few past recipients include Jack O'Neill, Sarah Wallace, Jerry McLean, Patrick Wonkiel, Steve Lehman, Jennifer Utrivas, and Dan DeLauder. What a list. And congratulations, by the way, to Jennifer and Dan on their recent and well-deserved retirements. This year, we honor someone who is not only an amazing leader for our community, but one who has demonstrated an unprecedented passion for history, development, and growth. His bio tells a tale of just that. As a longtime board member and past chairman of the Works Museum, founding member and past chairman of Grow Licking County Community Improvement Corporation, current board member of Jobs Ohio and First Federal Savings. He also serves as co-lead of Ohio Governor Mike DeWine's administration's COVID-19 task force, tackling emerging local issues during the 2020 pandemic crisis. He serves on the Licking County Chamber's Manufacturing Council and is a great support of young leaders of Licking County and community leader initiatives. He's been recognized for his service as the recipient of the 2020 Business Leaders Award by the Licking County Republican Party and the 2019 Rotarian of the Year recognition. He's a proud alum of Miami University, though I won't hold that against you, almost as proud as he is of his 4 children. 3 he lovingly calls the triplats. In case you weren't sure who we were talking about. He is not a native of Licking County, but you'd never know that. He is a head cheerleader for our community, touting the importance of manufacturing and enabling the expansion and growth of many industries throughout the years, even embracing the plant-based products manufacturing on campus. That's some weird crap, my friend, but that's okay, that's okay. He's a huge fan of Black Hand Gorge and the rich history of our community as well. This year will mark his 20th anniversary as president and CEO of the Heath, Newark, Licking County Port Authorities. A perfect opportunity to celebrate that milestone by awarding Mr. Rick Platt with the John Alford Community Service Award. Rick, come here. But we have something to show you before we actually present this to you. So be able to see the screen. I wanted to make sure that you can see it before we actually present.
Congratulations, Dad. We are so proud of you. I'm sorry I couldn't make it. I don't think you wanted me skipping calculus and chemistry, but good job. Miami would be very proud of you, but congratulations. Sorry I couldn't be there. I love you.
Congratulations, Dad. I am incredibly thankful and lucky to have you as my father. You have been an excellent role model to both me and this community with your hard work and your leadership skills. You deserve this reward without a doubt. I love you, Dad.
Nice work. I'm happy that you're making enough of a difference to win this award. The community is very lucky to have you, and I'm grateful to have you as my dad and look forward to learning more from you.
Hey, Dad, I know you're probably thinking about like a dozen other people who should have received this award instead of you, because I know how humble you are. But I hope you know how absolutely deserving you are of this award. This community is so lucky to have you continuously pushing for manufacturing, development, jobs, and growth. Everyone knows that you love where you work because you're always striving for Licking County to be in the forefront of businesses and people's minds. Your dad would be absolutely so proud of you because I know that we all are. You're amazing. Congratulations. And just so you know, this was the hardest secret to keep for all of us. And you should be so proud of yourself.
My kid said everything. I mean, I truly am humbled, though. I was floored. I guess people can keep secrets from me. That's kind of scary. I, again, can't say anything but how humbled I am. I mean, I'd never got a chance to meet John Alford, who this is named for, but I've met so many of the folks that have gotten this award who have to be the model of what he's about. And this really is just an amazing community. We deserve the Intel announcement we had the other day. All of us do. So I just can't be anything but humbled. So thank you. Thank you.
Congratulations, Rick. Oh, Rick, Dad, Rick. They're over there. Go hug your family. Congratulations, Rick, on this well-deserved recognition. Thank you once again for all you do in advancing economic development in Licking County. Ladies and gentlemen, we've seen our Groundhog dance. We've seen him or her enjoy a lot of time with you. We are going to give some, let's get some energy here. Let's get some applause for it. Let's see what's going on here. Mr. Groundhog. All right, are you ready? It's time to unveil. How do we get this thing? You ready? Ladies and gentlemen.
So this is going to be super brief because as soon as you guys get out here, I get out of here. So just two things. Again, I'm Dan Motor, Executive Director at Explore Licking County. First thing, yep, this is what my hair looks like. It's and it's even worse when I see it right here on this. Wow, there's like super bald spot up there. But the second thing I would say too is, oddly enough, in my 30-year career in this community and sort of the love affair with Licking County that came with it, this actually is an honor and it is a career highlight. So thank you for letting me be your Groundhog this year. I will wear it well. Well, in like 5 minutes, I'm taking it off because it's hotter than hell in this thing. So if you want to be the Groundhog, 740-334-7810 is my phone number and my cell number. You give me a call, we'll talk through that before you commit. Thank you all. Have a great weekend.
Appreciate you, buddy. Thank you, Dan. I appreciate this. Well, ladies and gentlemen, look at the time. But fortunately, you can all say you've all been here for 8 hours already, and that, hey, we've all enjoyed a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of synergy together. I'd like to thank our sponsors, the Licking County Foundation, and Michael Allosso for sharing his positive and uplifting message. Also, congratulations once again to Rick Platt, this year's John Alford Community Service Award recipient. Our corporate sponsor for the 2023 Groundhog Breakfast will be the Licking Memorial Health Systems. If you have any interest in being a future sponsor of the next Groundhog Breakfast, 2029 is the next available opening. Please contact Jennifer McDonald. Thanks again to all of you who helped make this event happen today, especially to each and every one of you for getting up this so very early to celebrate with us. Please don't forget to pick up one of your Proud magazines as you leave. And I want to take just one moment to say a little bit of reflection. Many of you may know who Margaret Mead is. She's a famous anthropologist, a studier of cultures, of history, of sociology. And she once said that never doubt that a group of small, committed, dedicated individuals can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has. Ladies and gentlemen, you change the world that we live in every day. Licking County is better because of you. We thank you for being here today. Enjoy the rest of your day. Be careful leaving, and have a great one.
It's 9 o'clock on a Saturday. A regular crowd shuffles in. There's an old man sitting next to me, making love to his tonic and gin. He says, son, can you play me a memory? I'm not really sure how it goes, but it's sad and it's sweet, and I knew it complete when I wore a younger man's clothes. La 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 li li da, la la li li da, la da. Sing us a song, you're the piano man. Sing us a song tonight. Well, we're all in the mood for a melody, and you've got us feeling alright. Now John at the bar is a friend of mine. He gets me my drinks for free, and he's quick with a joke or to light up your smoke, but there's